Oh, Clyde's decided to move. That's not very helpful, Clyde. That's not very Welcome back to our channel, Our Crazy Life Scotland. It's Fiona here, and today is another video in my little mini series about distraction techniques for boredom eating and chronic pain. So today I wanted to talk to you about one of my favourite distraction techniques, which is crochet. Now, I know crochet gets a really bad name for being an old lady kind of hobby, and I suppose, yeah, a lot of elderly people do it, but a lot of younger people do as well. It's certainly not by any means an exclusively old person hobby. I actually first learned to crochet when I was at university, so I was 17, I think, 17, 18 when I first learned to crochet, and it was because it was a nursing degree I was doing, and I was on placement in a nursing home. And I had to basically spend time with a lot of the residents, talking to them and entertaining them. And one of them actually ended up teaching me how to crochet. And it was just the basics, but I got hooked, quite literally hooked. And so, because it was just the basics, I did it for a while and I quite enjoyed it, but it was like straight lines and squares. That was it, that's all I could do. So I did get a bit sort of bored and put it away for a while. And then I would say, it wasn't long before I got ill, maybe a couple of years before I got ill, so I was in my late 30s, I would say, and I decided that I wanted to take it back up again. Jack was working away from home, so I was in the house with the kids. I couldn't go out very often, and at night I was, again, always wanting to eat, and I was looking for something to stop me eating, and I thought, oh, I might take up the crochet again. So I actually started going to a class, and it was really good. Again, the ages varied. There was people sort of my age, there was people in their 70s, and I would say probably about half of them did the crochet to distract themselves from eating. One of the good things about crochet is that your hands are always busy. You've got hooks, you've got wool, you're concentrating on a pattern, and especially if you're using light coloured wool, you don't want to have anything on your hands. You don't want to have crumbs or greasiness or chocolate or anything like that. So when you're crocheting, you don't eat. I actually had to stop going to the classes when I fell ill because I wasn't physically able to get out of my bed, never mind go to a crochet class. And I was too ill to even crochet when I was in my bed as well. So it kind of went on the back burner for a while, and then as I started to feel better, but I was in the hospital, as the dexterity in my hands had gone, the nerves in my hands had been affected as well as my legs and feet, so I did find it very difficult. But then once I got out of hospital, one thing that I did find about the crochet is it helped me to get the dexterity back in my hands. I've still not got full sensation, but I can use them a lot better than I was able to, and the neurologist actually thinks that could be due to the crochet. So that's another good thing about it as well. So even though I had to stop going to the classes, once my hands started getting a bit better, I wanted to learn more. So I went onto YouTube. Good old YouTube, it's fantastic for everything. There are so many different tutorials. I don't know what I'm doing with my hands here. There's so many different tutorials on YouTube on crochet, so many different stitches, techniques, show you how to make dolls, amigurumi dolls, or the bags, the owl bag that I did, that was from YouTube. And what else have I, oh, corner to corner, I'll show you some of that in a little bit. So lots of different techniques that you can get on YouTube, and that's where I get the majority of mine now, patterns and tutorials on how to do bits and pieces. So if you do, even from very beginner crocheters, it starts from the very basics to creating a slip knot and then your chain for starting. So if you fancy taking up crochet, you've never done it before, you don't know if you'll be any good at it, you can get hooks dead cheap off Amazon or other online stores, or you can get them in the likes of Hobbycraft, but they are a bit more expensive in there. I get mine from Amazon, to be honest, and if I get a chance I will link some below for you. Again, dead cheap. Tunisian crochet, that's the other thing that I've started doing recently, and I've been teaching myself that from YouTube as well. And the reason I remembered that there is Tunisian crochet is a slightly different hook. It's a much longer hook rather than shorter. In fact, bear with me a second. Right, so I'll show you some examples of different hooks that you can get. So the hooks that I tend to use most have got the rubber handles on them. And I like them, again, because my hands aren't great. So if you do have like arthritis or if your grip isn't very good, these are excellent because they've got the rubber handle on them. They're easy to grip and they come in all different sizes depending on the pattern that you're looking to do. So that's that. But the normal crochet hook you also get in just the metal. This actually, I'll show you just now. This is a little crochet hook case that I made through Crochet, again from YouTube, just using scraps of yarn, and that's your standard crochet hook. So it's metal all the way rather than having the rubber handle. So as you can see, it is easier to grip this type than that. So that's that kind of hook. And the Tunisian crochet that I was talking about, Tunisian crochet hook looks like a cross between a knitting needle and a crochet hook. So it's the length of a knitting needle, but it's got the crochet hook on the end. And that's because the type of crochet that it is, you keep all your loops from the chain on the hook as you go along one way, and then you take them all off as you go back along the other way. So that's why the Tunisian crochet hook is that little bit longer. So that's a different kind of hooks that you get. Now, I will show you a couple of the blankets that I've made using different techniques. Bear with me. So in the time that it's taken me to get my camera after laying the blanket on the bed, Clyde has decided that he wants to claim it for his own. What is he like? I think he likes that blanket. So ignoring the dog, this is a star blanket that I made, again using scraps of yarn that I had lying about, so it hardly cost me anything, and I learned the technique on YouTube, and it's basically, Brooke uses it for our dolls, for our baby blankets, and that was a dead easy, although it looks quite complicated, it was actually so easy. So that was a great pattern for me to do, to stop me from eating, and also to try to distract me from the chronic pain, because I didn't need to concentrate and focus too much on that. So that was the baby star blanket. I'll just get another one for you. Clyde's at it again and Molly's joining in now. So if you've watched my other videos, you might know that every year I write, direct and perform in a charity pantomime. Last year's pantomime, any prizes for guessing, was Peter Pan. And at the time I was getting right into the corner to corner technique in crochet. Now please excuse the state of these blankets. They have been, since the pantomime, they've been used as blankets for the dogs in their beds and things, so they are covered in hairs. But you can see that these blankets are actually made up of tiny squares, lots of different squares. So I'll try and get you a better angle of this. This one is Tinkerbell flying in the against the moon, sprinkling her fairy dust, pixie dust, and it is rather huge. So when I decided I was doing Peter Pan and I was really enjoying these doing the corner to corner blankets, I went on Pinterest and I went on Etsy and I found a few different blankets that were Peter Pan themed, and I thought, oh, that would be really good. What could I use them for? And then obviously being an amateur group that we are, we couldn't rig up anything for making Peter Pan or the children fly. So I came up with the idea of making these blankets and using them as capes. And Tinkerbell, or Tinkle Bell as she was in their pantomime, sprinkled the capes with pixie dust, and they then allowed the kids and Peter Pan to fly. So that was one of the blankets. I'll now get one of the other ones, bear with me. Yep, so this one is really filthy with the dogs, so please excuse that. But it's basically Peter Pan, and it's hard to see in this light and with the camera, but it actually says never grow up. And it's basically just Peter Pan standing in his usual pose. So that was another one of the capes that was used for the kids flying in Peter Pan. And I'll just get the last one. And this last one is quite a bit smaller than the other two because it was a wee tiny girl who was wearing it, and she was so cute with it. So this one is just Tinkerbell sitting in a little pose. So that's that, and all three of those are the corner to corner technique, and I really, it's still one of my favourite techniques to do. And again, all three of those I managed to do through learning on YouTube. So it just goes to show you don't need to go to a class. You can learn from home. You don't need to spend a lot of money. You can pick the hooks up for a few pounds. You can pick wool up at the pound shop, B&M's, Home Bargains, Aldi, that sort of place. But those blankets were a bit more expensive because they did take a lot of wool and it was specific colours that I needed. But generally, a lot of the projects you can do just with scraps of wool that you've got lying about. I would say it can be as easy or as difficult as you want it to be, and it can be as cheap or as expensive as you want it to be. It totally depends on what kind of project you like doing. I do a variety of different things. This is my latest creation. I've got a thing about owls just now. I just love owls, and I'm doing a wee owl theme in our bathroom because we've not decorated it yet. I've not got the money to do it up, so I wanted to just make it a little bit nicer than it is at the moment. So I made this lovely little owl bag. Oh, watch his eye, her eye even. So it's just a little bag like that, and you can pop basically what you want in there, and that's just hanging on the back of the bathroom door, and it can hide ladies' bits, or I also put a couple of wipes that are soaked in Zoflora in it, so it makes the bathroom smell nice and it just looks a little bit different. So I really enjoyed doing that. That one took me a couple of weeks to do because I was just picking it up and putting it down as I felt like it. The pattern was easy once I got the hang of it. So when I first started it, I tended to not be able to do it when I was in a lot of pain, but it was good when I was wanting to boredom eat. But then once I was got the hang of the pattern, I could do it when I was in pain. So that's a little bag. One of the other things that I have done is, Brooke is 9 and she still likes playing with her dolls and things. So she wanted some clothes for her doll, so I made this little cardigan, like so. And it's just a dead simple little cardigan for Brooke's doll, and she loved it. And again, I loved it because it was a scrap of yarn that I used. I didn't need balls and balls of yarn, and it gave me something to do with my hands when I was watching the telly or watching YouTube so that I wouldn't eat, definitely. A pattern like this I don't tend to do when I've got pain because you need to concentrate that little bit more, but in terms of eating it was excellent. Now a lot of the patterns I get free off of Pinterest or what's the other site, Ravelry. You get a lot of free patterns on those sites, so if you are into crocheting, definitely head there. And I've had some off Etsy as well, but you do need to pay for them, but they're really, you can, again, depending on the project, you can pick them up for a couple of pounds, or you can go higher than that depending on what it is you're wanting to do. So that was just a little bit about one of my other favourite distraction techniques, which is crochet. I really hope you've enjoyed this video, and if there's anything else that you would like to know about crochet, or if you want to ask me any questions about the patterns or techniques, anything like that, I'm certainly no expert. Like I say, I was self-taught for a lot of it, but please feel free to ask me in the comments below, or just feel free to say hi and let me know what your favourite distraction techniques are for boredom eating and chronic pain. And I will see you next week for the next video in this series, and I'm not going to tell you what that's about either. See you later. Bye.